Yu-Gi-Oh is probably in one of the best states that it has been in a very long time. Why? Because there are so many decks that can compete, whether you're on a budget or you just want to play your favorite deck. One would have to wonder, hey TheCaliEffect, what are the best decks of the format? What are the second best decks of the format? And even more importantly, what are those sleeper decks that can come and take the meta by storm? And in this video, I'm gonna show you what that is. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, they're going to destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead and that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. I also want to give a special thanks to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, videos like this would not be possible. Also, a mad shout out to our newest Patreon, Caesar Garza. Welcome to the clan, boss dog. Make sure you add yourself to that Discord as well as message me or Just so we can get you in the top dog so you can take advantage of all your rewards. Without further ado, I present to you a complete meta breakdown on the February 2019 format. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to separate this video into multiple sections talking about the best decks of the format all the way down to those sleeper decks that could beat those #1 decks. Now, I bet you guys are wondering, Callie, where'd you get this information from? Like, how can you even tell me what is tier 1? Well, not only are we following some of the best events out there from regionals, ARGs to YCS levels, we're also cross-referencing it with the Yu-Gi-Oh scope site that actually uses online players, using players that play other decks and having their percentages as well. So rest assured, we will be able to give you a detailed discussion on what are the best decks of the format as well as those sleeper decks, starting off with the tier 1 decks. Sky Striker is still one of the most powerful decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Reason being is because Sky Striker Mobilize Engage is not only a reinforcement of the army for any of your Sky Striker cards, but it allows you to draw an additional card for having multiple spell cards in the graveyard. You can bind that with Sky Striker Widow Anchor, the ability to Forbidden Chalice, or almost like Forbidden Chalice your opponent's cards, but also be a mind control when you really need it. As long as those cards remain at 3, Sky Strikers will be a force to be reckoned with. You can bind that with their myriad of link monsters, the ability to recur those spell cards from the graveyard through Kagari, the ability to search them through Suzuku, and then other monsters like Hayate to send them to the graveyard, and even the new Sky Striker Earth monster, which doesn't seem like it has any applications, but the ability to prevent your opponent's monsters from attacking can come up. Sky Strikers are still a tier 1 deck and still a complete force inside of the meta. Next just has to go to Thunder Dragons. Yes, that's right, for the new players that are returning, this deck is really based off of Thunder Dragon, and ironically they summon a colossal monster that's 2600 attack and is a walking Thunder King Ryle, preventing your opponent from searching cards. But even more importantly, if you just so happen to destroy the threat or try to destroy the threat, Thunder Dragon Colossus can protect itself by banishing Thunder Dragon monsters in the graveyard, which will thus trigger all of those essential Thunder Dragon monsters effects. You have Thunder Dragon Dark that allows you to search more cards. You have Thunder Dragon Roar that allows you to summon more monsters. And then you have Thunder Dragon Hawk, which can reset your hand and be a monster reborn. Thunder Dragons are insane, whether you're using the Danger route to power through your Chaos variants, or you're using a Dino route, which I still feel is one of the best routes available, or you're just using a pure Thunder Dragon build. There are a myriad of ways that this deck can be used to take top seats at any event. Following afterward, you still have to put on your helmet for the players that can't play Yu-Gi-Oh really well, but still want to win. Altergeist is still one of those decks. You have Altergeist Multi-Faker being able to spell summon Silquitos to your side of the field, which could manipulate cards on the board. Being able to bounce monsters to your hand to bounce cards on your opponent's side of the field is disruption. But I think one of its best quantities is that, well, spell cards are some of the most played cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And having access to Secret Village of the Spellcasters, essentially locking them out of activating spell cards, well, it's almost a direct counter to one of these decks in the top contention. Altergeists are very annoying, very helmet-like, and normally have the answers for your answers. Don't think that this deck is going anywhere anytime soon. Lastly on this list, isn't Salaman good? It's Salaman great, or you could just say Salaman awesome. I wonder, what does the Salaman mean about this? But anyways, Salaman Great remind me a little bit like Fire Fist's little brother, like a redhead stepchild, because it doesn't feel like Fire Fist, but it feels like Firefist. You got your level 3s, you got your level 4s. Unfortunately, that's where the comparison stops, as the deck is a link-focused heavy deck, but still can make that powerful Exceed summon into one of your best monsters, kind of? No, not really. Well, it still does plow a lot of monsters to the side of the field and can control the board with its spells and traps. So I guess you could say it's similar to Firefist, but not really. It's just probably the closest comparison that I can do. Solomon Grade is good at controlling the board, but even more importantly, it can OTK if left unchecked. Don't sleep on this deck, because we finally have a competitive Cyberse archetype deck, and a lot of people are going to be playing it because it's so cheap. That is it for all of the tier 1 decks, ladies and gentlemen. These are the best decks and cannot be beat. Or can they? On to the next category, we're going to talk about the tier 1.5 decks. And why are they 1.5? Well, they don't have the tops to be considered tier 1. I feel that players like you just haven't been playing them, which results in them not getting the tops. But they're also a little better than the tier 2 decks because they do have more tops in them. Starting off in the tier 1.5 category, we have to talk about Crusadia. Everybody wants to talk about Crusadia, the deck that I've been saying has been tier 1 since it came out, because it's tier 1, isn't it? I mean, you take away the 0.5, it's still tier 1, no? All right. Crusadia is a deck built on special summoning. If I were to compare it to any deck ever before, I have to say like a Synchro Spam deck, because while Synchros did summon a myriad of monsters to the side of the field to negate the opponents, this Crusadia deck summons a myriad of monsters to your side of the field to negate your opponent's card effect. So it basically is like Synchro Spam, is it? Abusing cards like Saryuja Skull's Red to draw 4 cards from the top of your deck, and then mix your hand to however you please, because you place 3 of any of the cards in your hand to the bottom of your deck, and then also being able to swing for high amounts of damage through Crusadia Equimax, which can gain up to 10,000 attack and attack all of your opponent's monsters at once, inflict piercing damage, and do double damage. I mean, I really don't know what to tell you. That's like its base strategy. And also using kaijus to the best of its ability. I mean, your opponent can't tribute your monsters if you control a monster that can't summon monsters unless they get rid of the monster. Now, am I following? You guys following me? All right, cool. Next is your boy, another deck that we have to put at the tier 1.5 category, True Draco. Now, if I were to compare True Draco to another deck, it's literally like Monarchs on drugs, because this is how True Draco works. So essentially, you have your monsters named Dynamite and Ignis. Dynamite activates when your opponent activates a card effect to search a True Draco trap card or add it to your hand. Ignis activates when your opponent activates a card effect and searches a True Draco spell card and add it to your hand. Now, we could talk about Majesty Maiden, but if I've already said that you can add spell cards and trap cards, you can already assume that Majesty Maiden's gonna allow you to add, yeah, that's right, keep thinking, big brain. Anyways, back to where we're going, the True Draco spell cards allow you to gain an additional tribute summon on your turn. And did I forget to mention that those True Draco cards can use your True Draco spell cards to tribute summon? Yeah, those True Draco monsters, they use spell and trap cards to tribute summon themselves, and they can use any continuous spell or trap card to summon themselves to the side of the field. So not only do the spell cards allow you to tribute summon, additionally, they also destroy your opponent's spell and trap cards on the field when they're sent to the graveyard. And if I didn't make the card effects even better, they allow you to draw cards. Like, I don't know why Konami decided to put 3 effects in one. They were like, hey, let's make this card a Mystical Space Typhoon, a double summon, and a Pot of Avarice. Oh yeah, you go, boy. Put 3 card effects in one. And I'm not even done yet. They have some really good trap cards inside of True King's Return and True Draco Apocalypse. Now, I bet you guys are wondering, what could a deck that has everything want? Well, more. This is exactly what it does. Return allows you to special summon those True Draco monsters in your graveyard to your side of the field, and Apocalypse allows you to destroy a True Draco card you control to half the attack of all of your opponent's monsters. So just when they thought that they could already beat your beastly monsters, they kind of can't. And what makes it even worse is that these True Draco trap cards, you won't believe it guys, allow you to tribute summon on your opponent's turn. And then when they're sent to the graveyard, they destroy monsters on your opponent's side of the field. So talk about having interactions for your opponent's interactions. And I haven't even talked about like Diagram, Card of Demise, and all of the other cards that can get you into everything that you need for this deck. Next, into the denizens of the deep, we are going to get to a sub-layer of terrorizing your opponent. Okay, that was I apologize. Sub-terrors are good, okay? If there was ever a flip effect deck, not you Shadows, go somewhere, that actually revolved around flipping monsters face up and face down, this would be your guy. It's literally Helmet, just like Altergeist. What you do is you summon your Subterra Guru monster, which allows you to search Subterra cards from your deck to your hand. You get Subterra Fiendus, which is a hand trap that's searchable to flip face down your Subterra Guru, which then searches another Subterra Fiendus. You guys kind of get what I'm doing here? You also have your Hidden City, which prevents your opponent from attacking into your Subterra Guru, because it'll just flip face up and then gain a search again. And then you also have your Subterra Succession, which can flip the monster face down or face up. This deck's kind of redundant, isn't it? The ability to flip monsters face down and then face up is just really abused on this deck. It feels like everything that you're playing is a Book of Moon, and the ability to just disrupt your opponent by either flipping their cards face down with Subterra Guru, negating their effects, and flipping your cards face down with Subterra Fiendus, or the myriad of trap cards that you want to play. It's just kind of like, it's like you kind of look in the mirror when you play against this deck, and you cry a little bit, and then you just let it out. Just let it out. Let it out. The last deck is probably one of the most meanest decks I have ever talked about. Literally every time I hear this deck's name, I think, watch yourself. Shake it, like, I mean, come on. Danger is seriously fun. You got Snake Boy to summon Snake to your side of the field. You got Jack Boy, even though he doesn't really do Jack, he summons himself to his side of the field. You got Bigfoot. You got the You got that monster to summon itself to your side of the field. No matter what, it's literally playing a game of the hunter and the hunted, because no matter how these danger monsters resolve, you're pretty much activating Upstart Goblin 40 times. Seriously, it's a deck full of Upstart Goblins. And the fact that the deck is dark is just like, Konami, what were you thinking? This deck is just a cluster just of Upstart Goblins. Just literally, picture all those memes about 40 Upstart Goblins in an Exodia. This is the deck except without Exodia. Like, it's just 40 Upstart Goblins, summon cards, OTK, play stuff, do it. Nike. Now that we are done with the tier 1.5, none of these decks can be, okay, you guys are already understanding, like, I'm gonna say none of them can be beat, except by these decks, but I'm pretty sure you guys already caught on, so we're not gonna say it anymore. None of these decks can beat except for these, but still. On to tier 2, these decks are not what they seem. I don't think that they're really tier 2 decks, but again, they actually just don't get played a lot. And the first deck we're gonna be talking about is, damn, Dante, back at it again, dodging the ban list inside of Burning Abyss. Now, if I were to compare Burning Abyss to another deck, you would probably just not have played Yu-Gi-Oh in like 5 years. So like, I shouldn't have to compare it, but still. Burning Abyss is like what Lightsworn should have been. A dark deck that actually allows you to decide when to send cards from your deck to the graveyard, literally. But then I guess you wouldn't be having Light Sworns, they'd be like Dark Sworns, were they? But beside the point, Burning Abyss still does the exact same thing that it has done since the beginning of time. You make Dante, you send cards from your deck to your graveyard, you gain advantage. The only difference is that Fairy Tale Snow is banned. Did that stop Dante from being Dante? No. Fairy Tale Snow doesn't have Dante in his name. You still make stupid boards, summon Blackluster Soldier, and just wreck your opponent. It's literally just like Dark Chaos by now. Learn to play the deck, ladies and gentlemen. It's not dead, and yes, I will make a deck profile soon. Next on this list is a terror. If you guys quit the Yu-Gi-Oh! 2005 GOAT format because of Cybernetic Revolution? Yeah, Revolution. I was thinking of Horizon. Then you might want to quit again, because this guy actually got more support in Cybernetic Horizon. So in like 14 more years, will it be like a Cybernetic Dawn or something like that, and we'll get more Cyber Dragon support? Maybe I'm just thinking too much. But Cyber Dragons are insanely good, ladies and gentlemen. This 2100 attack body that requires your opponents to have monsters on the side of the field may seem a little outdated, but when you combine it with the new cards, the ability to OTK your opponent through Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, summoning a 2100 attack monster that can destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field and attack multiple times, or summoning your Cyber Dragon Siger, which can make any of your Cyber Dragon monsters 4,200 attack points, or, you know, it doubles it, but you guys get the point. The fact that this deck can still make Cyber Dragon Infinity with ease, negating your opponent's card effects and snatching your most precious girlfriend and taking it as its own Cyber Dragon is just too strong, man. Don't sleep on the deck that broke your neck, okay? Just don't. Now, if you've ever hated Burn, well, I mean, at least Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of diversity. Trick Stars are literally a cross between pop stars from Korean entertainment or Japanese entertainment maybe, and also a mixture of what you hate the most, which is Burn. So literally some of the things that people will love the most and hate the most. It's almost like Konami is torturing us by giving us two things that we love and hate at the same time. The basis of this deck is all ran through Trickstar Candina. Being able to search anything you need from your deck to your hand, you can get cards like Trickstar Lycoris to bounce the Candina back to your side of the field for further resources. But since we're not really talking about that, let's just talk about what the degeneracy comes from in this deck. There's two reasons why this deck is degenerate. First of all, the constant burn that it gives off to your opponent feels a little less interactive, like you're not doing anything and you're being punished for it. Almost like when you got punished at that one time because your mom told you, but it wasn't your fault. But we're not going to talk about what I'm talking about, okay? We're going to stick to the point. Trick Stars also have a very punishing combo in the Reincarnation Droll and Lockbird combo, meaning that if your opponent searches a card, you can chain Trickstar Reincarnation and Droll and Lockbird and effectively banish their hand. Well, if there was anything to make it even worse, I don't really need your help to do it. Trickstar Reincarnation is at 2, so if I just happen to have 2 Trickstar Reincarnations, which are searchable, and the Droll and Lockbird, I can prevent you from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, a lot of people might complain about this deck, but I'm just saying, if you can't beat them, just play them. I mean, right? The last deck is the deck that everybody loves, and I'm like 1,000% sure you guys are gonna post down below in the comment section, TheCaliEffect, you gotta play this deck, is Pendulum Magician. Yes, Electromite is at 1, but this deck still makes, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5-card negate board. Awesome, too strong, can't be beaten. Did I get close enough to one of those Yu-Gi tubers that's actually really good at what he does? No? I had it too strong, didn't I? Okay, sure. But pendulums are still really good. The ability to make multiple negate boards and then have one of the most busted mechanics in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! On its side, you can't count Pendulum or Pendulum Magician out. Now that we are done with the tier 2 categories, there are a couple of sleepers that I want to talk to you guys with. Sit down with your boy, sit down with your Uncle Cali, and I'll be able to tell you those sleepers, young boy. Maybe you'll be able to get something in the metagame. The last portion of this video is what you guys have been waiting for. The decks that you've been sleeping on to dominate this meta. Okay, well, they're not going to dominate this meta, but they're still really good decks, and I have to take some decks that we've already mentioned before and bring it to the sleeper category because it feels like every single time this happens. First of all is those Pendulum Magicians I just talked about. They top consistently, like every format, and no one bats an eye. Triff gets off the forbidden list, and he comes to an event, and everyone loses their mind. Seriously, when he, free my homie Triss, first of all, and when he does come off the list, and he starts topping, don't be saying I ain't told you that pendulums are still really good. The next deck we're gonna talk about is, of course, Burning Abyss. This is a deck that has a track history of just being great. And I'm gonna tell you guys, for the people that did not know, Burning Abyss gets slept on during the beginning of the format. Then pops up in popularity towards the end of the format when people realize, hey, this deck is still good. Then I make a video about it, and the Forbidden List hits something else after me saying that it's untouchable. And the cycle repeats over and over again. If I have noticed this cycle, I seriously hope that you have noticed this cycle and don't sleep on Burning Abyss. The next deck we are going to talk about is Paleozoic, those denizens from the deep? No? Kind of? Those ancient philosophical fossils. That's probably not what I'm talking about. But anyways, this trap-based helmet deck is not only monsters, or not only traps that can disrupt your opponent, but they're also monsters that you can bring to your side of the field for some totally plays. That was a pun for the people that don't know, because the monster's named Totally Awesome, and you like make it, and you snatch your opponent. The other deck we're talking about is Zombies. Now, don't sleep on Zombies, ladies and gentlemen. I know that the Shiranui support kind of bombed in terms of competitive relevancy, but don't let that distract you from the fact that LeBron James is only 8 spots away from getting into the NBA playoffs in the NFC West, and if he does and beats the Golden State Warriors, then we have to consider him the greatest player of all time, even if you do like Jordan. I already consider him the greatest player, but you know, okay, anyway, I probably got off tangent, but Zombies are really good. The fact that Eradicated Epidemic Virus came to 3 and decks like Sky Striker still run around, and Zombies can probably is the best deck to put monsters for Erad targets on your side of the field. I feel like it feels like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is almost like putting 2 and 2 together, and sometimes people come with 3. And Zombies is definitely that 4 that you need. Go ahead and pick up Zombies before it's too late. It's extremely cheap. It's very viable. The last deck that we're going to talk about, I feel like everybody forgets about. It is a deck that has the ability to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Really well. It has the advantage. It has the ability to make some really powerful plays, and it fits well in just about any deck. Before we get into this, I just want to say Danger could be mixed in this and just almost any other deck. It's Upstart Goblins. We're not going to talk about that. But Mech Knight is really good. I could like sit here and talk about Mech Knight for hours. It allows you to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like with your opponent, like actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games. It's like, hey, you summon these monsters in this column, well, you fell for me, so I can summon this monster in this column. It like plays mind games with your opponent. This and Infinite Impermanence are the reason why your opponent doesn't like just T-set anymore. They have to like mix up their sets because this deck is so prevalent. It has the ability to mesh well with Invoke cards, which are still really good into the game. Paragon Trio is a like one-hitter quitter sometimes. And then it also has Invoked Macabre that can negate cards and banish them. That's kind of good in Yu-Gi-Oh! Still, and it has a plethora of other monsters. Not only that, your Invocation can banish cards from your opponent's graveyard, and even if you don't go the Invoked route, Mech Knights are just solid to be mixed with other decks, as well as being a pure build. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you enjoyed this meta breakdown. If you did, go and give it a like, and if you didn't, let us know in the comment section what we could do to be better. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.